Hello, this is Jeff Morgan. You are listening to an authorized audio version of the Galactic Federation. If this kind of material is interesting to you and you'd like to continue, you're welcome to like the video and subscribe to the channel. You can also find my other books on Amazon Kindle. Thank you for listening.
Chapter 7. The Orion Syndicate, Structure, Alliances, and Objectives. Introduction. The Hidden Architects of Exploitation. The Orion Syndicate exists as one of the most insidious and elusive forces shaping the fate of countless worlds, with Earth representing one of their most significant arenas of operation. Unlike conventional empires that declare their presence with armies, fleets, and political dominance, the Syndicate thrives in the shadows, weaving its influence through the hidden layers of planetary systems. It is not a singular species or unified nation, but a vast, decentralized network of species, factions, and opportunists bound together by a shared appetite for control, exploitation, and dominion exercised from behind the scenes. Their empire is constructed not with territory or flags, but through manipulation, infiltration, and the quiet erosion of sovereignty at every level of a civilization's development. Earth, in particular, has become one of the Syndicate's most heavily targeted planets, owing to its biological richness, energetic complexity, and the latent potential of its inhabitants. For the Syndicate, the planet is not merely a resource to be mined, but a sophisticated project of long-term exploitation. Their operations stretch far beyond mere economic manipulation or genetic harvesting. They extend into the manipulation of human belief systems, the infiltration of political and corporate institutions, and the suppression of humanity's natural evolutionary trajectory. More disturbingly, the Syndicate's influence reaches into the spiritual realms, where they have embedded mechanisms designed to distort reincarnation cycles and contain human souls within Earth's energetic boundaries, preventing true spiritual liberation. Their power is not measured by conventional military might, but by their ability to engineer dependency, manufacture consent, and embed themselves within the very systems that humans believe serve their interests. Through technological seeding, biological interference, psychological manipulation, and the quiet construction of soul containment infrastructures, the Syndicate has become the hidden architect of exploitation on Earth. Their empire thrives not through conquest, but through parasitism, deception, and the strategic use of secrecy, ensuring that by the time their presence is recognized, their control is already deeply entrenched. Origins of the Orion Syndicate. The Orion Syndicate emerged as a direct consequence of the Draconian Empire's calculated pursuit of expansion beyond the confines of their native system, Alpha Draconis. Though formidable in their technological prowess and military strength, the Draconians understood that traditional conquest would only draw the attention and retaliation of more advanced galactic powers, particularly the Galactic Federation. The Federation, a vast alliance of civilizations committed to preserving the natural evolution of developing species, has long enforced strict non-intervention protocols. To challenge such an entity through overt warfare would not only be catastrophic, but would likely expose the Draconians' ambitions before they had achieved meaningful gains. Faced with these limitations, Draconian strategists devised a far more subtle and enduring approach. Rather than risking open conflict, they created the Orion Syndicate as an unofficial, deniable extension of their influence. This covert network was designed to function outside of traditional hierarchies, blending mercenary factions, bioengineered servants, rogue technologists, and opportunistic collaborators into a decentralized but highly effective apparatus of infiltration and control. Its operations unfold not on the visible stage of galactic diplomacy, but in the concealed spaces where black market technologies, genetic exploitation, and ideological manipulation take root. The Syndicate's most significant advantage lies in its exploitation of the veil and the simulation, those layered constructs of perception and illusion that insulate developing civilizations from the greater galactic reality. While the Galactic Federation respects these constructs as evolutionary safeguards, the Draconians recognize them as vulnerabilities to be exploited. By operating within the blind spots created by the Veil, the Syndicate has been able to embed itself within the social, political, and even spiritual architecture of countless worlds. Earth, with its complex biological environment and emerging sentient population, became an ideal target for this strategy. In essence, the origins of the Orion Syndicate reflect a strategic evolution of imperial ambition. Through deception, manipulation, and the calculated exploitation of cosmic structures, the Draconians ensured that their influence could expand across the stars without drawing the immediate attention of the galactic powers capable of opposing them. The Syndicate represents not only a hidden empire, but the Draconians' most sophisticated tool for achieving control without the need for visible conquest. Core membership and hierarchical structure. Beneath the outward chaos and fragmented appearance of the Orion Syndicate lies a meticulously structured hierarchy, carefully engineered to ensure the efficiency and deniability of its operations. At the pinnacle of this hidden empire sit the Draconian High Caste, a ruling elite of master strategists, genetic architects, and military visionaries who oversee the Syndicate's long-term agenda. These beings, evolved over millennia to embody ruthlessness and intellectual precision, are the true architects of the Syndicate's expansion. Their focus remains fixed on securing planetary influence, acquiring biological and energetic resources, and advancing genetic manipulation programs that serve their ultimate vision of galactic supremacy. The High Caste rarely engages directly with the operations that unfold on worlds like Earth, preferring to direct the Syndicate's movements from the shadows while maintaining plausible distance from the consequences of their interference. Carrying out the Syndicate's most visible and essential tasks are the Orion Greys, a bioengineered species purposefully crafted for obedience, adaptability, and efficiency. The Greys serve as the operational backbone of the Syndicate's activities on Earth and countless other worlds. They conduct abductions, perform genetic experimentation, manage surveillance programs, and oversee the sophisticated soul containment facilities that ensure human reincarnation cycles remain compromised and controlled. While the Greys were designed for subservience, their prolonged exposure to sentient species, particularly humans, has fostered subtle fractures in their loyalty. Among certain factions of Greys, a quiet but persistent resentment simmers beneath the surface, although few dare to openly defy their Draconian creators. The seeds of doubt and disillusionment have taken root, creating an undercurrent of instability within the otherwise disciplined ranks. Perhaps the most insidious members of the Syndicate's hierarchy are the hybrid operatives. These beings, born of advanced genetic engineering programs that blend human DNA with that of the Draconians and Greys, are designed to seamlessly infiltrate human society. Their appearance is meticulously calibrated to allow them to pass as human or, in some cases, as exceptionally charismatic and influential individuals who subtly stand apart from the population. Hybrid operatives occupy positions of influence within global leadership, cultural institutions, corporate power structures, and even spiritual movements. Through their placement, they manipulate human belief systems, shape public narratives, and quietly steer the trajectory of societies toward fragmentation, dependency, and submission to Syndicate control. Their effectiveness lies not in overt aggression, but in their ability to blend into the very fabric of human civilization, ensuring that the hidden hand of the Syndicate remains virtually invisible, even as its influence grows. Together, these three tiers of membership form a hierarchical structure designed to maintain the Syndicate's grip on Earth and other developing worlds. It is a system built on exploitation, secrecy, and the calculated manipulation of both physical and spiritual realities, all orchestrated to serve the long-term ambitions of the Draconian elite. Syndicate operations on Earth. The Orion Syndicate's presence on Earth is both vast and intricately concealed, operating beneath the surface of human society with a sophistication that has allowed it to remain largely undetected by the general population. Their activities span the technological, biological, spiritual, and institutional dimensions of life on this planet, forming a comprehensive web of influence that quietly shapes humanity's development to serve syndicate interests. One of the most significant components of the syndicate's agenda is the strategic seeding of advanced technologies to select human groups. Military factions, intelligence agencies, and influential corporate entities have, over decades, been granted access to technologies far beyond the public understanding of Earth's scientific capabilities. These technological offerings are not gifts of goodwill, but calculated tools of control. Advanced energy systems have been introduced, yet they are deliberately designed or restricted to foster long-term dependency rather than true planetary independence. Artificial intelligence and surveillance technologies have been seeded and promoted to increase global monitoring, social manipulation, and the subtle erosion of privacy and autonomy. Alongside these advancements, breakthroughs in materials science and aerospace engineering have enabled covert militarization programs that operate beyond public scrutiny, often under the guise of national security or private innovation. In every case, these technological gifts deepen human dependence on the syndicate's hidden hand while reinforcing the very control structures that maintain global instability. Beyond technological influence, the syndicate's most disturbing activities involve the large-scale trafficking and exploitation of human beings. Through a network that extends across criminal organizations, compromised governments, and secretive agencies, countless individuals are abducted, traded, or disappeared for purposes that serve the syndicate's darker ambitions. These human trafficking operations provide raw genetic material for hybrid programs and biological experimentation. More insidiously, the psychological and physical trauma inflicted on victims serves an energetic harvesting agenda, extracting life force energy and emotional frequencies that are then utilized within the syndicate's spiritual control mechanisms. Human elites who participate in or profit from these operations, whether knowingly or through manipulated allegiance, further entrench the societal fragmentation and moral decay that keeps humanity divided and disempowered. Perhaps the most profound and sinister layer of the syndicate's presence on Earth lies within the realm of spiritual containment. Hidden across the planet are sophisticated facilities often referred to as soul recycling stations. These installations, operated and maintained by the Orion Greys, utilize advanced energetic technologies that intercept human souls at the moment of death. Within these stations, memories of past lives are systematically erased or blocked, ensuring that individuals re-enter the cycle of reincarnation with no conscious awareness of their previous experiences. This manipulation effectively resets human spiritual progression, denying individuals the self-knowledge necessary to escape the cycles of planetary entrapment. In addition to the recycling process, these stations deploy energetic containment fields or soul traps designed to prevent human souls from leaving Earth's energetic boundaries altogether. Through this hidden infrastructure, the Syndicate ensures that Earth remains both a biological resource and a spiritual prison, feeding their long-term ambitions for control and exploitation. Institutional infiltration completes the foundation of the Syndicate's operations on Earth. Global corporations, intelligence networks, and government entities have been compromised at multiple levels. Some collaborators operate with full awareness of their role in serving non-human interests, lured by the promise of power, wealth, or access to advanced technologies. Others remain unwitting participants, manipulated through disinformation, engineered crises, and compartmentalized programs that obscure the Syndicate's true involvement. Through this complex web of influence, the Syndicate has embedded itself so deeply within human civilization that its hidden hand shapes policies, economies, and social narratives without ever revealing its presence to the vast majority of Earth's population. The control philosophy of the Syndicate. The Orion Syndicate has never pursued dominance through overt warfare or visible conquest. Such crude tactics, while effective in the short term, risk exposure and provoke resistance that could unravel their carefully constructed networks of influence. Instead, The Syndicate adheres to a far more sophisticated philosophy of control, one that operates through the unseen layers of human psychology, culture, biology, and spirituality. Their strategy is designed not to shatter societies through force, but to reshape them from within, ensuring that the structures of control are so deeply embedded that most remain unaware they are even subject to manipulation. At the heart of this approach lies psychological manipulation, a method through which the Syndicate engineers division, confusion, and dependency among human populations. By subtly influencing belief systems, political ideologies, and social narratives, they foster environments where conflict and fragmentation thrive. Societies are kept in a state of perpetual tension, with individuals encouraged to distrust one another and focus their energy on manufactured divisions rather than recognizing the hidden forces guiding their collective destiny. Cultural engineering is another critical pillar of the Syndicate's control philosophy. Through the targeted manipulation of entertainment, education, and media, they promote materialism, conformity, and dependency. Societal values are subtly shifted away from self-awareness, critical thought, and unity, and instead directed toward consumerism, superficial success, and the glorification of power structures that ultimately serve syndicate interests. In this environment, human potential for spiritual growth and collective awakening is not only suppressed, but actively redirected into distractions that benefit the existing control framework. On a biological and energetic level, the Syndicate interferes with human development in ways that are largely undetectable to the untrained eye. Through genetic manipulation, environmental interference, and the cultivation of low-frequency energetic conditions, they suppress the innate capacities for heightened awareness and psionic abilities within the human population. These measures are designed to limit humanity's natural evolutionary trajectory, ensuring that individuals remain trapped within the physical and perceptual boundaries of the planet. Central to this suppression is the operation of soul recycling technologies. Through their hidden facilities, the Syndicate captures human souls at the moment of death, erases the accumulated wisdom of past incarnations, and forcibly recycles them back into the planetary system. This spiritual interference effectively halts the natural evolution of consciousness, denying individuals the opportunity to transcend the cycles of reincarnation and escape the planetary matrix of control. By preventing the realization of spiritual sovereignty, the Syndicate maintains Earth as both a biological resource and an energetic prison. While technological advancement is not suppressed outright, it is carefully directed to serve the Syndicate's long-term goals. Innovations in communication, artificial intelligence, energy systems, and surveillance infrastructure are selectively introduced and promoted, but always within frameworks that increase centralization, surveillance, and societal dependence. True breakthroughs that could empower humanity or foster decentralized, sovereign systems are systematically suppressed, discredited, or redirected. The illusion of progress is maintained, while the underlying structures of control grow ever stronger. Through this multi-layered and highly coordinated approach, the Syndicate ensures that humanity remains fragmented, distracted, and dependent. Their philosophy of control is not one of brute force, but of quiet mastery over the systems, beliefs, and energies that shape human civilization from within. Relationship to the Demiurge and the Archons. The Orion Syndicate exists as an opportunistic force, adept at exploiting the hidden architecture of reality, but it does not serve the Demiurge or the Archons who shaped that architecture. The Archons are not beings in the conventional sense, but are more accurately described as ancient, primordial forces of creation that emerged alongside the Demiurge to structure the foundations of the physical universe. Their work is woven into the very fabric of existence, from the laws of matter and energy to the dimensional boundaries that confine developing worlds. Among their most influential constructs are the veil and the simulation, vast layers of perceptual distortion and isolation designed to regulate the evolution of consciousness and shield immature civilizations from premature exposure to higher realities. For the Archons, the unfolding of life within these boundaries is a natural, inevitable process. Their perspective is so vast and impersonal that the ambitions of species like the Draconians or the operations of the Syndicate fall entirely beneath their notice. To suggest that the Archons are involved with the Syndicate's affairs would be as misguided as claiming that humans are consciously engaged in the politics of an ant colony. The Archons are concerned only with the maintenance of the universal framework they helped design, indifferent to the struggles of individual species or the temporary empires that rise and fall within their creations. The Syndicate, however, has become adept at exploiting the conditions established by the Archonic design. The veil, intended as a protective barrier to encourage gradual evolution, serves as the perfect cover for the Syndicate's hidden operations. The simulation, a construct of layered reality that limits perception and access to higher dimensions, provides them with fertile ground for manipulation, control, and resource extraction. By operating within these distortions, the Syndicate can shape planetary civilizations without detection by those trapped beneath the veil and often without triggering the attention of the galactic powers who monitor overt violations of non-intervention principles. In this way, the relationship between the Syndicate and the Archons is one of quiet exploitation rather than collaboration. The Archons, vast and removed from the concerns of temporal species, maintain the structures that define the playground of galactic evolution. The Syndicate, ever opportunistic, navigates within those structures, bending them to their advantage without disturbing the architects who established them. It is a relationship defined by indifference on one side and manipulation on the other, a dynamic that has allowed the Syndicate to thrive in the hidden spaces between cosmic intention and galactic law. Earth's strategic importance to the Syndicate. From the Syndicate's perspective, Earth represents far more than just another developing world hidden beneath the veil. It is a planetary asset of rare complexity, positioned at a crossroads where biology, consciousness, and cosmic influence converge in ways that few other worlds offer. What makes Earth particularly valuable is not simply its abundance of life, but the way its inhabitants and ecosystems form an intricate foundation for long-term exploitation and influence projection beyond the planet itself. While countless worlds contain life, few possess a biosphere as varied and adaptable as Earth's. This biological richness provides a testing ground for the Syndicate's more experimental agendas, particularly those that require subtle manipulation of genetics, ecosystems, and social evolution. The planet serves as both laboratory and supply line for projects that extend across Syndicate operations, offering raw materials, biological innovations, and test subjects for hybrid and behavioral experiments. Yet it is not the genetic diversity alone that elevates Earth's strategic status. The true factor that keeps the Syndicate invested is the planet's transitional state. Humanity, in its current form, stands precariously balanced between ignorance and awakening. This tipping point is a double-edged sword for the Syndicate. On one side, it presents vulnerabilities the Syndicate can exploit through engineered distractions, fragmented leadership, and spiritual containment. On the other, it signals that their window for unchallenged manipulation is narrowing. If left unchecked, the planet's inhabitants could move beyond their engineered limitations, unraveling not only the local control grid, but creating ripple effects that might compromise operations elsewhere. Earth's reincarnation containment system is central to mitigating that risk. These networks of hidden facilities do more than just cycle souls. They create predictability. The controlled return of individuals without past life awareness stabilizes human development along paths favorable to the Syndicate, limiting spontaneous leaps in consciousness that might otherwise disrupt their influence. It also ensures that potential threats, individuals capable of remembering or transcending, are systematically filtered out or neutralized across generations. Human collaborators and embedded hybrid lineages play their part, but they are only one layer of a far larger framework. Earth functions as both a proving ground and a containment zone, a planet whose fate will ripple into the galactic theater. The Syndicate's interest here is not fleeting. The stakes are high. and the planet's role in their broader ambitions makes it a strategic cornerstone they cannot afford to lose. Internal fractures within the Syndicate. For all its outward sophistication and apparent cohesion, the Orion Syndicate is far from an unshakable monolith. Beneath its meticulously constructed hierarchy and network of influence lies a complex web of internal tensions, competing ambitions, and quiet resentments that threaten the stability of its operations. These fractures, though concealed from outside observers, reveal the inherent instability of a structure held together not by shared purpose, but by calculated self-interest and coercion. At the core of this instability are the divisions that have emerged among the draconian elites themselves. The High Caste, responsible for orchestrating the Syndicate's long-term objectives, is not unified in its vision for Earth's future or the broader galactic strategy. Some factions within the draconian leadership advocate for more aggressive methods of control, favoring rapid genetic manipulation, intensified soul containment, and deeper infiltration of Earth's institutions. Others, more cautious and pragmatic, warn that such overt strategies risk exposing their operations to the growing resistance among both humans and galactic powers like the Federation. These ideological rifts have led to subtle power struggles and a growing uncertainty over the direction of the Syndicate's campaign on Earth. Beyond the internal politics of the draconian leadership, discontent simmers within the ranks of the Orion Greys. Originally engineered for subservience and efficiency, the Greys have carried out some of the most critical and ethically questionable operations in the Syndicate's playbook. Their role in abduction programs, genetic harvesting, and the management of soul recycling stations has made them both indispensable and expendable in the eyes of their draconian overseers. Yet prolonged exposure to human consciousness, along with the burdens of their tasks, has planted seeds of resentment and quiet rebellion among some Grey factions. Though their capacity for organized defiance remains limited, their growing dissatisfaction represents a potential vulnerability the Syndicate can no longer afford to ignore. Even among the human collaborators embedded within global governments, corporations, and intelligence agencies, cracks are beginning to appear. Initially drawn into the Syndicate's web by promises of power, technological advantage, and political dominance, many of these individuals now find themselves grappling with the unintended consequences of their allegiance. As they witness the suppression of disruptive technologies, the acceleration of global surveillance, and the spiritual stagnation of humanity, a growing number are beginning to question the true nature of the forces they have aligned with. For some, this disillusionment has given way to quiet resistance as they attempt to undermine the Syndicate's influence from within or seek to expose the hidden empire they once served. These internal fractures, while not yet sufficient to dismantle the Syndicate's control, reveal an underlying weakness in its foundation. They expose the reality that an empire built on secrecy, manipulation, and exploitation cannot maintain cohesion indefinitely. As tensions rise and the planetary awakening accelerates, the Syndicate's carefully constructed facade may prove far more fragile than it appears. Conclusion: the hidden hand is vulnerable. The Orion Syndicate has operated for generations as an invisible architect of manipulation, embedding itself within the hidden architecture of Earth's systems and exploiting the planet's resources, biology, and spiritual pathways. Through secrecy, calculated infiltration, and the quiet erosion of human sovereignty, it has succeeded in building an empire without borders or banners. Yet despite the sophistication of its methods and the depth of its influence, the Syndicate's grip on Earth is no longer as unshakable as it once appeared. Beneath the surface of controlled institutions and manufactured divisions, cracks are beginning to form. The awakening of individuals across the planet represents the most significant threat to the Syndicate's long-term dominance. This awakening is not confined to a single ideology, nation, or belief system, but is emerging as a quiet and diverse resurgence of critical thought, self-awareness, and spiritual inquiry. More people are beginning to question the manufactured narratives that have shaped their reality, and to sense the hidden mechanisms that restrict their growth. As this process accelerates, the veil that has shielded humanity from its own potential and concealed the Syndicate's operations is slowly beginning to fray. With each new insight, each rediscovered fragment of knowledge, the influence of the hidden hand is weakened. Alongside this human awakening, the quiet but deliberate presence of the Galactic Federation adds further pressure to the Syndicate's operations. Though bound by principles of non-intervention, elements within the Federation continue to monitor Earth's trajectory, offering subtle assistance where they can and working to expose the more egregious violations of planetary sovereignty. This external pressure, combined with internal fractures among the Syndicate's members, has begun to erode the confidence and cohesion that once defined their hidden empire. What lies ahead is not a conflict defined by military confrontation or territorial conquest. Instead, the looming confrontation will unfold across the unseen realms of consciousness, information, and spiritual sovereignty. It is a contest of perception and awareness, one in which the most powerful weapon is not force, but the ability to recognize, reject, and transcend the subtle chains of manipulation that have bound humanity for generations. As the hidden hand is forced into the light, the Syndicate faces not only exposure, but the possibility of losing control over a world that has long been kept in quiet captivity.
This concludes this section of the Galactic Federation. The next section will be available here on my channel. If you'd like to support this work, please like the video and subscribe for future releases. Also, my other books are available on Amazon Kindle. Thank you for listening.